I'm assuming we can. I'm going to hit escape here so I can go back to my screen and actually see that and prove to myself that you're there. Yeah, there you are. Hey,
Hey, there I am. There I am.
hey, I'm going to stop
Hello.
showing slides. In fact, and I think that'll just put both of us right here on the screen so they can see us up close. Hey, I haven't seen this background before. Where are you at?
I'm in my home office now. One
Cool.
of the silver linings is everybody's working from home now. And although I started working from home, at one point I got an actual commercial office space and spending thousands of dollars on it, and come to realize, you know what, I really don't need it. So
No,
everything is has come home. So I'm
doc,
here in my home office.
that's because doctors don't care where you're
Right.
working from
Well,
or
and
what you do.
they never need to come to an office ever. So you're right, they don't care at all. And now it's even more so. People are, going working remotely. So it's so common nowadays. So yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
in my home office now.
Used to, we had to explain to people, look, you get an office. If you want to, you can rent a little office somewhere, a virtual office like for $400 a month,
Right.
so you have a place to meet if the doctor wanted to meet you. But they don't care
They
nowadays.
They don't. They don't really, they don't come to you either. I mean, even if, and right now is different. Everything is getting done virtually. Everything. So even back in the day before pre-COVID, they would want you to come to them. So they wouldn't
Yeah.
care. But now it makes it so much easier because everything is done virtually. Everything is done remotely. So it makes it so much easier.
I had a licensee I interviewed, I don't know, several weeks ago, and he said, "Look, during the COVID, I've signed up 2 doctors already. This was at the early part of it, maybe April or May." And he
Mhm.
said, "I actually met with one doctor on Saturday." He said, "Why don't you come in? There's no patients. I'll meet you in my office." They had masks on. They kept socially distanced, and
Yeah.
it was fine. There's no problem at all. In fact, I think it's helping licensees to get in to see the doctors because aren't they kind of having a tough time right now?
So you're absolutely right. So with this, of course, pandemic that's happening, there's been a reduction of patient volume because patients aren't going to have those electives that they used to have, and they've been feeling the crunch. And what better time though for a doctor to take a look intently at their books than now? It forces them to. And so funny enough, if you remember, I actually started this business in 2008. It was during our last recession. It was
Oh, that's right.
during our last recession. And I know, so interestingly enough, that's when doctors really look at their bottom line and they look at how they can reduce overhead costs, reduce vendor costs, streamline things. And here it is again. I mean, this right now is a phenomenal time where doctors are panicking. They want to know, I want to stay in business, I want to stay in practice, but how do I reduce my overhead, increase my bottom line, right? And this is just the perfect combination of both.
Now, I know you got an office one time because, well, here, I'll put this up here so you can see what I'm talking about. Because you have 2 young sons, right? And a husband.
Yes, yes, they're growing up super fast. So, funny enough, when we went on the Alaska cruise, I bought the package to get internet. And so I was literally able to get internet on the cruise because it was a cruise to Alaska, and I was able to check in, if I needed to remotely. So that was awesome. Oh, God. So yes, there is my office mate. There is my best friend right there. He's helping me do some work.
Oh, that's hilarious. I remember you sent that to me, and I thought, well, does she want me to show a picture of her dog laying on her computer?
Well, it just kind of shows that, I mean, even now, and that was before COVID, by the way. It just shows that the possibility of working off of a laptop and working off remote anywhere. So here, yeah, here's us in Disneyland, but that's available because of everything being web-based, cloud-based, and accessible on any web-capable device. And that's what is the beautiful thing. You can be anywhere and work.
Now, Cynthia, kind of explain to people, you mentioned the cloud. I think I mentioned it earlier. I don't know that people sometimes wrap their brain around how important that is, that they not be using software that stores stuff on their computer. Can you kind of explain the cloud to people?
Well, and so I haven't told you this story yet either. This is a great story, and it'll tie into answering that. So I have a recent client that I just landed a few months ago, and they're in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I went through the normal marketing to get the warm referral, went in, I identified all of the needs, the issues that they were having, and came back and offered the solutions, all of which is outlined in the training. But one of the questions that I asked is, what electronic health records are you on? And I got this response, oh. And so my response is, what is that? And he told me that he was on a system that is server based, and he had to download it on his computer. They had a system crash and lost all of 2019 patient data.
Oh my gosh.
Because of this crash. And so I was like, what? And so he opened up the back office, and there was paper charts everywhere. And he said, we had to pull all of these things out because we lost 2019 data. And so patients that are coming in, that we need to go back and do the manual thing. And so that right there, so he had it on a server. So it was all in his office. It was all on this system that he had to buy and had one special room for. And then when that crashed, the data wasn't backed up, and he lost all of that data. So one of the biggest things that his concern is, first of all, is it cloud-based and is it backed up? That was his big concern. And so now he's moved on to our cloud-based system. He never has to worry about that happening ever again. And it took them a while to kind of regain all of that information, which again was not backed up. So yeah, kind of scary stuff.
Now, when you started with us, I think we had maybe a cloud-based system at the time, but have you ever known our cloud-based system ever to go down or lose data?
Well, no, and I'm not the technical whiz at all, but what I've been told is from the IT people is that there's it's called redundancy, and this redundancy has this mirrored data. So right. It might have gone down, but I've never felt any effects of it because of the redundant data center, picking up, being mirrored. Where right. if anything were to happen, I was oblivious of it. All my clients were oblivious of it. So we never had that issue ever in the almost dozen years that I've been doing this.
Yeah. So for some people, when they hear the term the cloud, it sounds scary because it's out there. Where is that at?
Well, you know what? So when I first started, 2008, it was a little, I don't know, is it safe? Is it not safe? But right. Now it's getting to the point that it's a requirement. I mean, it is almost required to be able to access everything online. Right. It's not even, I mean, nowadays with millennial doctors, literally millennials are doctors now, they won't have it any other way. They balk at the fact of paper charts. They're like, what does that mean? A server, what is that? They don't even know what it means. Right, they don't even know what it means. They expect to grab their tablet or iPad and be able to get that information. It's an expectation that they're born with. They are born with that expectation.
There's actually a company out there. The reason I ask about that is there's a company out there that actually sells software. They don't tell people up front about it, but it comes on CDs. You have to load it on your computer, and then you load another version of it on the doctor's computer, and then you set up a server in between that you set up your own cloud, and it's just a nightmare. I can't even imagine somebody doing that. Ours is completely, it's not only platform agnostic, it doesn't matter what computer you use, but you can use it from anywhere. Literally, you can go buy a brand new computer. Or set it up at McDonald's or your phone even, right?
Yeah.
Access it,
Right. And so so like I said, the transition has been that 2008 people are like, oh, I don't know if this cloud thing is protected and so forth. And now it is assumed, okay, I need to go cloud-based, I need to go internet-based. But here's the great thing is the first concern that people had was, what if my internet goes down? Well, do you know that you can create a hotspot within 2 seconds, 3
Right.
maybe,
Yeah.
right?
On your phone. Yeah.
On your phone. And who doesn't have a phone? Right?
Right.
Who
Right.
doesn't? You know, maybe my 10-year-old doesn't yet, but for the most part, everybody has a phone.
So you literally have a portable connection to the internet right here. That if your internet did come down for some reason, maybe your local ISP provider, you just turn this on and connect to it. Now it's going to be a little slower, of course, than a regular connection.
Well, you don't
but
have
out of
that lost
business
data at all.
No,
Yeah.
you don't lose anything. So you say when you travel, you've actually worked from your hotel or wherever because you've got a Wi-Fi connection, right? Anywhere that's got a Wi-Fi connection.
Absolutely. And that's exactly right. Everywhere you go, there is. And if you don't have one, you could do it like this. So, and I'm not a workaholic, I would say. It's just, it's there if I need to. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to be at the point where I have employees that are doing the day-to-day, where I'm just doing the high-level management. But before I did, I was doing the work, and it was absolutely fine to be able to do it remotely and still comfortable to be able to do it remotely.
Yeah. Hey, this is great. I've actually got a question already in the question box here directly for you, I think. Let me read it here. It's from Saeed. He says, will this business survive if I have it as a side job for me while I hire a medical biller to actually do the actual billing? I would then just focus on bringing in new clients rather than doing the billing myself.
So here's what's interesting. Here's something that I've recently kind of observed. I find that there are different categories of people wanting to become this business owner. So these categories, they fit into these little pods, if you will. So there are those people just like Saeed that feel like they want to start this business and do all of the business development and land the clients, but they don't want to do the day-to-day, right? And they can hire the billers to do the day-to-day and stand on the computer and work on the computer. So that is an excellent possibility. Then there's another pod that I find that are loving to do the billing, that they just love the computer. They love
the actual day-to-day. Yeah, right.
They love it. And then they hire sales reps to bring them in the accounts. Then the third is the one that wants to do it all, that just wants to do it all from beginning to end.
That was you at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
At the beginning, that was you.
Yeah, exactly. And so again, everybody though has different personalities, and everybody has different desires and wants for their growth of their business, becoming these business owners. So what the cool thing though is the way that you have outlined the training actually is conducive for every single one of these personalities. So if you want to become a business owner and do all of the face-to-face and fun stuff with clients and land all the clients and not be in the office all day, you can. If you want to do all of the data entry, you can. And if you want to do them both, you also can. That's entirely up to you. So that's the fun thing. It's entirely up to you.
And as he mentions, he says part-time. I don't know if he's got another job or not, but that's done all the time, isn't it? People can actually start this part-time.
Right. The term now, and here to bring you up to speed, Patrick, the term now is side hustle. That's the new term.
A side hustle, okay.
A side hustle, right. Make some extra money? Absolutely. You can do this as a side hustle because you don't need to do it full time to be able to go and do your marketing, capture those, and then again, like he mentioned, is hire the billers and have them do all of the work, and you go and just get clients, and you can do this part-time for sure. That's how I started. I started part-time for sure. So it's entirely up to you how much you want to spend, how much time you want to spend doing the marketing or the actual technician work.
Now, folks, as you're watching this, you're grasping that Cynthia has done this long enough to where she knows just about everything there is to know about the business. So this is your opportunity to ask questions, and boy, they're pouring in now. Here's one from John. He says, Cynthia, did you have any previous experience in marketing or the medical industry?
Excellent question. So this I'm going to answer in a roundabout way. When I decided to become a business owner of the ABS opportunity, I actually underwent a whole bunch of other possibilities. I was considering, buying a franchise, a brick and mortar. I was considering starting from scratch and doing everything from the ground up. And so I went through this lengthy, arduous process of all of those options. But what led me to this and being a business owner here is the fact that it had the benefits of the franchise model, which is the proof of concept, the processes step by step, and the support. But it didn't have the restrictions, including territory, including royalty fees, all of the bad. It had the best of both worlds. So to answer the question, I know I went about it in a whole different way, is no. I simply wanted to be a business owner. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to be in control of my time. And here, being a business owner here has afforded me the opportunity to get into this industry I knew nothing about, but have the guidance and support of somebody kind of lifting me up and being able to lean on the expertise of the whole support department to help me learn as I went along. So to answer your question, I didn't have any knowledge about this industry. And I think most business owners that are being successful, I think you showed a screenshot of a lot of them. They all didn't have any experience. Maybe Jeanette Wheeler, I think she was maybe the only one, but for the most part.
Only one or two out of that United States map that I showed. Yeah. Those are real licensees of ours. Yeah. And no, and that's probably true of most of the people who are actually going through training right now. They'll say, I don't have any knowledge of this business. How can I get started from zero? And of course, as you know, we know how to do that.
Baby steps. It is. And it's interesting though, because like I said, it's you're paving the way to teach the ground up, the foundation up. So you don't have to come into this with that prior knowledge.
Edwin says, he's asking about the training. He says, how long is the training? Edwin, that depends on you and the instructor and so forth, but it's usually done, what would you say, within a month's time, you could get it all done, couldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you need to accelerate it, you can certainly accelerate it. It's a lot of information given. So ideally, we want to do a handful of classes a week because it's a lot of new information. And it gives you time to absorb the information, review it, re-review it, and then there's homework assignments attached in between each of them. So it gives you ample time for that retention because it is brand new information. But we have accelerated it to get done super, super fast, but it's better if we do a few classes every single week and get it done in that month's time.
Yeah, so folks, here's how it works. Basically, you get on a plane full of other sick people. You fly down to Texas. You spend a week in a hotel with other sick people. And no, I'm just kidding. This is a picture of, we used to do training that way, live, right here in a hotel in Dallas. As you can see, there's Cynthia teaching one of our classes. She's been doing this for what, Cynthia, 6 years maybe? I don't know how long you've been teaching for us.
I think so. It's about 6, I think now.
Yeah. And so folks, no, I'm just kidding. We actually do this all virtually now. That's right. Well, no, we'll get into the training a little bit more in depth here in just a second. I got ahead of ourselves there. Let me go back to the questions here and get some more here that are pertinent to Cynthia. Okay, so Guadalupe says, have you ever used sales reps? And if so, how did that work out?
Oh, Guadalupe, yes, absolutely. I had a huge staff of them. At my highest, I had 5 sales reps that I was managing, and it was phenomenal. It kept me so flippin' busy.
I'll never forget the story you told in one of the classes about one guy you hired that was like the leading salesperson in his industry in Arizona, which was boat sales, wasn't it?
Andy, yeah.
Who would have thought in the middle of Arizona people had boats?
Right.
Okay, so Saeed says, this is a follow-up to Saeed's question about can I do this part-time and have somebody else do the work? He says, what do you see the challenges that would come up in my business model? Managing, I guess, somebody doing the work while he gets the business.
Yeah. The biggest challenge with hiring people is people. I hate to say it.
Yeah, I agree.
Say it. It is finding that little nugget, which you can do. What a lot of the times happen is people get, I don't want to say lazy, but they do a search hiring for a position and they like somebody, like, oh, she's funny, she's clever, oh, we get along great, and they hire that person and don't really dive into the experience part of it, of what they can do work-wise. It doesn't have to do with if you like them or not. It shouldn't at all have to do with that. So I find that to be a common challenge that I personally have suffered from myself, where I, like somebody, got along great with them, saying, oh, I'm going to love to work with her because she's funny or she's this, and not realize that she wasn't good at what I was hiring her to do. So I think, and just to be quite honest, I mean, when you hire people, you've got to deal with managing them. And if you've never managed somebody, then that's just work in itself, that you're having to manage them. So that is, and this is something that I will give as a huge recommendation, is take some time in finding some qualified candidates. I recently, and this is another silver lining, I recently, let's see, we're in October now, so they were August hires. I hired 2 people and I went through the whole interview process, and there's a lot of people looking for work and a lot of beautiful qualified candidates out there. So I found it was like I got my pick of the litter. It was amazing.
Yeah,
so
you can teach those people virtually, just like we're using this technology right here.
I did all my interviews virtually.
They can do all of their work from their home. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Yeah. It's really perfect for this time. Now, let's see. We want to get into the training. Folks, we're going to cover the training in detail, what's covered in it. As you probably guessed already, and I really haven't said this, I don't think yet, Cynthia. Cynthia is one of our certified medical revenue manager trainers. Mm-hmm. And so she's our lead instructor, in fact. So you're hearing from the best of the best right now, believe me. John says, what marketing method did you find most successful in gaining new accounts?
Oh, awesome. So here's the thing. When it comes to marketing, I'm going to highly recommend that when you decide well, first let me back up. And we'll talk about training in a minute. I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but in training, you get a menu. Seriously, like a menu of marketing strategies that you get to decide to implement. And when you go through all of these options, you need to determine for yourself, what do you have enough time to commit to implementing that marketing strategy, what you feel most comfortable with, what fits within your marketing budget. And I'll tell you right now, there are marketing strategies that are for free, and you need to be able to commit to a marketing strategy. So during this process and putting together your own business plan, you will need to determine what marketing strategies that you want to implement. So to answer your question, there are several that are proven that work that I have personally done. I have personally hired reps. I have utilized referral partners, power partners. I've done business networking. I've done warm marketing with my personal network. I have done direct contact, walking into doctors' offices and doing that strategy. I have done trade shows. I have done educational events. I have done lunch and learns. I have done research on Craigslist and classified ads and gotten clients that way. I've utilized and leveraged these marketing tools that ABS has put together, these books, which are considered content marketing. I've leveraged getting reference letters from the business, the partnerships that ABS has made with fellow MDs, and utilize those references and all of those. So to tell you which ones work, they all work. It all depends on which ones you feel comfortable to implement yourself.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's up to you. We give you a dozen different ways, and you pick the ones that fit you the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Narmita says, how long did it take you to get your first client?
It took me, I was working full time. It took me 90 days.
Yeah, but you're working full time. That's important that people realize that. Folks, yeah. If you're doing this full time and you just jump right into this, of course, you might get it earlier. But even 90 days, think about that. That client probably made you a lot of money, and it was worth getting that first client, wasn't it?
Well, here's what's fun about this industry is looking at businesses, just taking a step back and looking at businesses in general. And if you're looking to sell a product, and I want to sell this one product, then after you sell a product, then you have to always be marketing to find someone else to sell that, to buy that product. And you got to continually be on this kind of hamster wheel. But when you offer services that you are doing regularly, then once you get one client, the annual value of that client could be tens of thousands of dollars. The lifetime value of that client is in the millions. For a fact, it's in the millions. So it's a little bit different perspective to think about. If I'm going to sell this one product, then you're done. But when you offer these services, it's ongoing revenue that you're working, professional services that you're doing on a monthly basis. So it's a little bit different of a perspective to think about.
Yeah, that's a good point. Once you've got a client, that doctor is going to have patients this month, next month, the next month, and hopefully it even grows.
Right. Right. Exactly. I had just earlier today, I had a monthly meeting with one of my clients, and we're looking at his growth for 2020. Yes, his growth, where a lot of providers, you see this huge dip off in March and April numbers, and it just goes down and down and down. And us, we're seeing this huge growth. And so I don't remember what my point was there, more so just to see that, that because my revenue is directly reflective of their revenue. So if they do well,
right.
So do I, yeah.
Yeah, the more money you bring in for them, since you're charging a percentage of that, the more you get. Okay, David says, do you have to be licensed in medical billing?
That's a great question. And no, you don't.
No.
And let me just clarify something really quick. Now, and this is not the question, but I find it very helpful for those that are thinking of getting into this industry. So when you hear the terms medical billing, you normally hear it said medical billing and coding. Right? You'll hear these things together. And it's a common misconception that people are like, oh, I do medical billing and coding. So let me just explain a little bit and pull it apart for you. Medical billing is simply the process of submitting claims to a payer to get paid from a rendering provider. That's it. Coding, on the other hand, medical coding is far more intensive because there are certifications that you can get to become a certified medical coder to transform these words or narratives into codes. And to become a certified coder, there's a lot of training and years of ongoing accreditation and so forth to become a certified coder. But here's the great news, and I don't want to steal some of your thunder, Patrick, is part of this business ownership is that you actually will have access to a staff of certified coders that have gone through all of the credentials, everything. So the hardest part is going to be done for you, which you can offer as a service. But by offering billing services, this is how you're going to marry these two things together, is that you can perform the billing and even offer these certified coding services in conjunction without you having to be credentialed or certified in that. Oh.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. No, there's no licensing that's necessary. You can do billing for any doctor in the whole United States, as far as that goes, without having any licensing that's required. So David, that's the answer, is that if you wanted to be a coder, you'd have to, but you don't have to be, because ours has it all built into it. And we have coders that are ready to help you as well. Okay, let's see, Jamita, did I say that right? Yes, Jamita says, what's the difference between, well, we just answered the question, what's the difference between medical billing and coding? There you go.
It's a common question. It's a common question.
Now, Dennis is asking that question about the training as well. I guess a lot of people are wondering, you know, how long does the training take to get ready to open your business?
Yeah.
And again, Dennis, according to Cynthia, she can get people trained pretty fast if you want to fast track it. Depends on how much time you have behind the scenes to study, because there's a lot of material to go through, and but you can go through it in a month easily.
Yeah. Easily. So you can get ready to go in that month. And in the meantime, you're setting up your infrastructure, which is all going to be, you're going to be helped along with that. How to set up your website, what phone number to get, what business address to get, how to set up your logo, all of your business infrastructure, and then all of the information to help you learn the foundation of this industry, as well as how to market what you have to offer. And most importantly is your competitive advantage. What makes you different from someone down the street, or when it comes to simply medical billing services, or simply these EHR systems, right? There's a lot to navigate through, but they're put together in chunks, and hopefully digestible chunks, where you can slowly build upon this knowledge.
Now, some of these questions have already been answered, even though I'm just now getting to them. I take it in the order they come in, folks. But David asked, you know, how do you get your customers? So I hope we addressed that earlier, David, when you talked about all the different ways that you can get them. Here's one that says, Dennis says, are there any other expenses besides the initial $28,000 licensing fee? You want to address, what did you spend, for example, Cynthia, or what would the normal person have to spend on anything?
Excellent. So in running a business, because keep in mind, that's what you're doing. You're running a business. You're going to be a business owner. Okay, so as a business owner, you're going to have what's called operating expenses to operate your business. So when you build your foundation, you're going to have a website that's going to be designed for you, but you're going to need to host it, right? And there's going to be a small little nominal fee to host your website. Then there's going to be, if you are going to get business cards, which actually are going by the wayside, by the way, business cards, you don't need those anymore because you're not going anywhere. But you're going to have administrative costs like the business cards. If you're going to set up an LLC, then there's going to be filing costs to set up your LLC. Again, these small little administrative costs to run your business. Now, in landing clients, when you bring on a new client, you may have additional costs to bring on that client, such as labor. So if you were on earlier, Saeed, one of the attendees was asking, if you landed a client and wanted to hire somebody to do the work, then you're going to have to pay the labor to be able to do that. So that's going to be an operating expense of yours, is hiring somebody to do the work. There are other tools that are going to be helpful for you to run your business, like accounting software, right? Or you might hire a bookkeeper. That's a little bit more expensive. There's other tools that you're going to be hiring to send invoices out through your accounting software, for example. So these are very small little administrative costs, But for you running a business, this is unlike where you have to set up a brick and mortar, right? You don't have to have a building that people come to, which is a rather large expense. You will need to have a computer. You will need to have internet. You're going to need to have a cell phone. So you're going to have these devices to be able to operate. And these are your operating expenses. But with all these expenses, you get to write them off as a business expense because you're running your business now that you're a business owner.
Yeah. Dennis says, are the training sessions work at your own pace?
Good question. So here's how the training sessions are delivered. Now, when we have a session, we're going to have a block of material, usually between 3 and 4 different topics. Every single topic the content is delivered, which you'll have the material beforehand, but the content will be delivered so you can learn a concept. Then there's ample time in between each of these sessions to determine if you understand it, if you need elaboration, if you need some sort of extra assistance with that topic. And so we move on to the next topic. And like I mentioned earlier, it's foundations that we're building upon. So each of these trainings is going to be work at your own pace. So when the information is delivered, you can take that information and re-review it as needed. If you want to do it accelerated, like I said, or if you want to spread it out a little bit more to say, wait till our next training, we're going to do it this time. It's all customizable. I mean, that's the good thing, is that it's one-on-one, so you can answer the questions that you feel are going to pertain to you and how you're going to implement them in your business.
Good. Cynthia, I'm sorry, I'm clipping right along here on the questions because they're still pouring in and we've only got about 15 minutes left. So let's see. Here's a great one here. Dennis says, is this product a multi-level marketing type of business, or does the money I make belong to me without having to pay a percentage to others in your company?
Gosh, okay. So don't answer this, because I know you love your MLMs. I know you love your Amway. Okay, so I know you do. So don't answer this. It is not. Absolutely. It is not. Nothing wrong with MLMs, okay? Nothing wrong with MLMs. I know you love them, and people have made a lot of money, but this is not at all. Becoming a business owner and offering professional services and possibly systems, you actually are going to be obtaining clients that you're going to be doing services for. And these ongoing services are what's going to bring you revenue. So you're actually working. It's not that you're pitching or selling product and telling them to sell products and keep on going and going and going. So the short answer is no, absolutely not. Not that there's anything wrong with those. It's just not
that there's anything wrong with that, but this is definitely not multi-level marketing.
But
you keep all the profits. Hey, which is one of the questions that was asked here. Let's see who asked this. How much oh, here it is from Jamila, says, what is the percent that we get from the doctors for collecting for them?
Excellent. Now, the way which is advised is learning about the needs of a practice. And it's doing this discovery of, what are you doing now for your billing? What system are you using for your practice management? What system and costs are you spending on your EHR? And what system are you using to get you HIPAA compliant? And are you undergoing audits? And do you have a telehealth platform? Do you have a patient portal? There's a variety of questions which are already written for you. And your job is to obtain if there are any issues that the practice is having. And you become more of a solution solver as opposed to pitching any services. So based on what you've uncovered that their needs are, we actually go through training you how to calculate what you're going to charge. So to answer your question it's going to depend on what services that you're offering, what their volume is. If you have a practice that is doing $50,000 a month in revenue, then just to give you some ideas, you can easily charge 6 to 7% of their revenue. So, I mean, that gives you an example of that. But as you add on more services, you can see where you can increase that up to 7.5%, 8%. My highest right now is 8.5% based on all of the services that you're providing. You're offering more value. So that gives you an idea how you can get one practice that can bring you in $20, $25, $30, $35,000 annually in revenue. That's just one client. But once again, you are going to be doing services. So you're getting a client that you're going to be providing these services to. And that's what gives you the right to offer, to charge them a percentage because you're working. Okay. So I hope you don't take this as, I know the other question was, is this an MLM? Because you're doing work. So absolutely not. You're having to actually provide services in exchange for what you're going to charge your client. But once again, you're a business owner. That's completely different than what an MLM is.
Completely different, yeah. Dennis says, if I purchase this license or system, can I make the training available to my employees that will be working for me?
So here's the thing with employees. It's going to depend on what their role is. So this training is for business owners only. It really is. You're going to have a behind the scenes of your cost, suggested retail, what your margins are going to be, how you're going to negotiate contracts with your clients. Your employees are working for you, right? You're going to hire them to do specific tasks. So depending on what you're going to be hiring them to do, if you're going to hire, say, a medical biller, then there's training already recorded, and there's training that's going to be done to show them what they're doing. They're going to be doing billing, right? They're not negotiating contracts. They're not wanting to see what the cost is versus what you're going to charge. They don't need any of that. They need to learn their task. Now, so that's all going to be done for them. If you're going to be hiring a sales rep, that training's been done for them as well. It's a completely different training because they don't need to know how to do billing. They don't need to know how to do all of setup of your QuickBooks and your accounting software and what to write off. So to answer your question, is this training is for the business owner. And the other trainings for employees will be handled for you depending on their role.
Yeah. Good. All right. Steve says, what is your client retention? That kind of ties in with another one here about, anyway, what happens if somebody quits or goes away?
Oops. I think I just went away. Am I back?
No, you're back.
Okay. So I think the overall, and correct me if I'm wrong, I thought you guys did a percentage, and I think you found it that client retention was anywhere between 96 and 98% on providers utilizing all of these systems. So it is rather hard. And then your question is, well, what happens if you lose a client? You get another one.
Yeah. Sometimes that happens, right? Sometimes you fire a client if you don't like them, right?
Right. But that's entirely up to you. I mean, if you want to get another one, you can. I mean, that's the thing. And I know I sound like a broken record, but being a business owner, you get to decide what your revenue goals are. You can decide the growth trajectory of the business.
Yeah, that was Randy's. Randy had asked that second part of that. Have you lost clients after they've been on the AB systems for a while? And yes, that happens, Randy. It does, but it's very rare. And when it is, sometimes it's because the doctor died.
Yeah, I've had that.
Or went out of business, John says, do you have any accounts now that want you to use their billing platform instead of the iClaim platform? How did that work out?
So the clients that I have now are all on my platform. Now, if you wanted to do that, I find it difficult to be able to make certain promises. I can't promise that you're going to get a 2% rejection rate. I can't promise that it's going to be integrated seamlessly with everything that you need. I can't promise it's going to provide you real-time eligibility, which is going to cut down your rejection rate, because the number one cause of claim rejections is not checking eligibility. I can't promise that. I can't make any promises. if I feel like honestly my hands are tied, and so that's not what my business model is. Now, if that's what you want yours to be, you're the business owner, right? That's your choice. But I would never advise it.
And we do have licensees who decided, look, if somebody is determined that they want me to do the billing, but they want to use their platform, then they find somebody using Craigslist or whatever other method that we teach to find somebody who's an expert in that system. They
Right.
do the billing, and then eventually you as the owner get to interface with that doctor and say, now let me show you some of the advantages if you own our system with it being completely integrated, cloud-based, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Okay, well, now we're getting into the training questions, so I'm going to go ahead and throw up here on the screen an outline of the training topics that we cover in training, and we'll address some of those questions about that. In general, you want to just kind of give a real quick overview of why we have so many topics?
Don't let this overwhelm you, okay? Don't let this overwhelm you. Every single one of these topics is taken slowly and baby stepped for you, okay? So when we start training, we do want to get a solid foundation. We want to get a good idea of what is the process of the practice workflow. How are these practices operating? What are the job responsibilities? What do they hire out? What do they bring in-house? What are their overhead costs, generally speaking? Then we talk about the process of medical billing, coding, the terminology, learning this industry, right? You need to learn this industry to start to speak the same language. Then we go through systematically every single system or service that you will now have the ability of offering to your prospects and identifying who makes the ideal prospect for you, who is the perfect person that needs these services. We're going to walk through every single one of those and how to offer them, what to charge for those, what your margins look like, what work is involved for you to bring those services on, because that's really important. And then we go through, once you get a good grasp of what your service offerings are, then how to market them. Because you need to know what your competitive advantage is first before we start talking about marketing. And then, like I mentioned earlier, it's like you get a menu of options to say, here's what you can choose, what you feel most comfortable with, what you want to implement, what the time is, right? If this is a side hustle and you don't have that much time, then you're going to find those strategies that fit in to the time availability that you have. And you get to decide which ones you want to implement, and even get assistance in deciding which ones to implement within your own very own marketing plan. Then in training, it's outlined, well, what do you do at these meetings? Can you do them in person? Can you do them remotely? How do you do them remotely? And what do these appointments look like? Who are they with? What am I asking? What am I wanting? What am I wanting to get, right? And then it even is taking that information and showing you how to present it as offering solutions and not pitching and not selling. Because I will tell you right now, doctors do not like to be sold to. They do not.
No.
And so it's more so offering the solution. So it's going step by step what those meetings look like, and then also how you're going to get help with those meetings, right? So who do you have to do the presentation, the demo for you? Who do you have on your side to help kind of tee that up? And then outlining how to put together a proposal, agreement, what restrictions should you put on that agreement? How long is that agreement? Those are important things because once again, you are the business owner and you want to commit to offering those services for a certain time frame, and you know what that time frame is going to be like. And then it's putting it all together. So throughout the training, I like to see it as little puzzle pieces kind of floating in the air. And then once we get to the end, it's putting it all together and seeing the entire, I want to say sales cycle, but it's not selling, the whole cycle and closing the loop. And then finding out, okay, this is the necessary information that you set up your business, and get you to hit the ground to get your first client. And then, because this is just the initial training, the training doesn't stop by any means. This is just to get you to that client. And then after, say that you want to scale and grow, then we're going to outline how do you get that additional support? How do you get that additional, knowledge and training if you want to hire employees or hire sales reps or whatever and grow. And yes, and once you're done with that initial training, this is what you get at the end of that. You become a certified medical revenue manager, CMRM, which is housed and given by MIRMA, the Medical Revenue Management Association of America.